guys, and welcome back to another video. My name's Tom and I'm here with Works Productions. Now today I'm going to be taking a look at all 5 Michael Bay Transformers live action movies. Transformers 2007. Now there's a lot I can say, but most of it has already been said, so I'm going to just do I'm going to sum up the good points, the bad points, and then I'll get around to an overall overall rating. So the good points in this film: the comedy. For a 17-year-old, the comedy's funny. Now, I get it, in a few years' time, I'm going to be like, oh, that's a bit childish, but still, I find the comedy quite funny in a lot of it. Some parts a bit awkward and not really that funny, but overall, I like the comedy. The action, absolutely fucking perfect. The action is just the best, for especially 2007 standard of films. Michael Bay, considering the fact he did some of the most enjoyable action films like Armageddon, Bad Boys 1, 2, 3 and 4. They're all amazing. I know he didn't direct 3. I don't think he directed 3. I know he didn't direct 4, but I love the Bad Boys films. They are very funny. And considering the fact this is 2007, the CGI is on point. Like, not even... There's maybe one mistake with the green screens. Like, obviously it looks a bit dodgy when Sam's flying through the air and Optimus is trying catching him. But other than that, the CGI is absolutely perfect. Now, I think... What else can I say? The characters are alright, they're funny. They don't really have much depth or development go on. But it's an action film from 2007, you can't really complain. The bad points, there's not many bad points with this. Sometimes the comedy just doesn't hit, it's just not that funny. Sometimes the action is way too over the top, but it works. You know, it works for this type of film. What else? Characters are so shallow, they've got nothing, no really background or anything. The only character that's got the tiniest bit of background that's slightly interesting is Megan Fox's character Micheal, which is weird because normally the love interest doesn't really have much of a background, but her background, obviously being a criminal and working with cars and Sam eventually finding that out, I find that quite interesting personally. Overall ranking, this is my favourite one out of all of them. I'm going to get that and done out of the way. It's my favourite one. I've seen this 200 odd times, and that's not even like an understatement. That's not an understatement, sorry. That's not an overstatement, sorry. That's an understatement. I've seen this so many fucking times. But personally, I'm going to rank this, well, I'm going to rate it about a 9.6 out of 10. I think the story's really well done for an action film. The comedy's great. The action's obviously great. The directing's really good, which is something I always say about Michael Bay films. His direction in it, like the actual camera movements, everything. I love the hero shot. It's my favourite shot of all time. Like, I love his direction in these films, and I love how most of these, like this, obviously is a bit exaggerated. It's not all of that was practical, but I love how most of the explosions and stuff was fully practical. Except, like, bar a few, obviously, with the actual Transformers being CGI, which is one thing I always give props to in this film. The CGI is amazing. Anyway, move on to Revenge of the Fallen. Now, moving on to number 2, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Now, I don't have the cardboard casing for it. But, so, what can I say about this film that hasn't been said millions of times by fans and critics? The story, where's the story? It's like there was 8 different writers that didn't even know each other. And they just went like, oh, here you go. And they just gave the script. And each of them wrote their own segment. Like, obviously, I like the whole Egypt thing. I like the whole primes in Egypt. 17,000 BC. But that completely retcons the first film's whole plot, that Megatron was the first Transformer on Earth because he was searching for the cube. Now, I like how they incorporate the Transformers into history, especially with the whole Egyptian thing with the symbols and stuff, with the Cybertronian symbols. I like that. But if they left that open in the first film and didn't say, oh, Megatron was the first on Earth, and Sector 7 was the one that knew that, then it would have made a bit more sense. But because it was like, Decepticons have been on Earth for thousands of years. Like, huh? That completely fucks over the first film's whole story with Megatron. Like, that's the one thing I absolutely hate about these films. Obviously, when I watch these, I completely switch my brain off. My brain is non-existent when I'm watching these. But that's the point. And I'm trying to be honest and fair, not be biased. I'm very biased with these films because I grew up with them. Even though I'm only 17, I'm as old as the first film. But I grew up with all 6 of these, really. These first 6 ones, and then obviously the newest one, with the newest live action one, Rise of the Beast. I watched it, and I really liked it. But we'll move on to that in a bit. This second film, what else can I say? Action. Amazing. I like Jetfire's inclusion. I like how they can use a bit of history and Jetfire being in a museum. I like how he was just like, oh, I fucking hate the Decepticons. I find that quite funny. But also, they make the robots now too humanoid. I like the whole thing in Shanghai. But obviously, they couldn't show too much because Shanghai doesn't want their city, China doesn't want their places to look vulnerable. It's a fucking movie. Come on. China's a bit much. But what else can I say? Devastator. Amazing. Devastator. Really fucking scary when I was a kid. There's one scene I do not like in this whole film, and I think it does not need it whatsoever, is the fucking robot bitch, the robot girl. Like, where Michaela bursts in on sound with the robot girl. I don't think they should have included that. Obviously, as a kid, for some reason I was scared of that. Sorry, I'm just chucking some things out of my pocket. As a kid, I was scared of that scene, and weirdly so. But bad things, there's a lot of bad things, so many bad things. The humour's just not as good as the first film. One thing I haven't commented on yet is the soundtracks. Oh, the late 2000s rock and metal, amazing. That's my music taste. I've got fucking Green Day, Slipknot, Iron Maiden, Sex Pistols. Obviously, I used to have more posters, but all of them got ripped in my move when I moved houses a couple of years back. But this scene still makes me laugh. Anyway, I think with all of the Transformers films, I like how closely they actually work with the real life American military. Yeah, they do kind of romanticize the military in these films, which is a bit much, bit of propaganda for them. But I'm not bothered about that, as I'm not an American citizen. I live in the UK, as you can tell by my accent, as you can tell probably by a lot of things I do. I'm very British. But yeah, I don't know. Overall summary of the film, I like it. Story's a bit all over the place, but it's still fun to watch. Switch your brain off, have a few beers, sit down with your mates. It's the perfect thing to do. Even with my family, my parents like watching these films because we always used to watch them when I was a kid. Overall, I'm gonna rate this film an 8.1 out of 10. I know, really high, but I like bad films. I enjoy bad films. I enjoy bad horror films. I enjoy bad action films. They're just fun. Now, moving on to a very controversial opinion in the next one. But we move. Dark the Moon. In my opinion, this is my second favourite one. Now, I know, what? Second favourite? Bumblebee's an amazing film. I know. We'll get to that later. There's like 4 people watching this. I don't think anyone cares. Anyway, Dark the Moon. So, my personal opinion on this film. First 2 acts. Act 1, Act 2. Huh? Exactly. That was my exact thought. Huh? The Act 1, interesting enough. Carly, a bit annoying. I know she was written for Michaela and Megan Fox dropped out. Was like, oh, Michael Bay's like Hitler on set. Oh, I don't think I'm allowed to say that. But anyway. And then she got fired by Steven Spielberg. Even Michael Bay didn't fire. Michael Bay was like, yeah, that's fine. I know that. Like, anyway. Carly was a bit of a boring character. She was written for Michaela, so she just feels like Michaela, which is really weird. And I don't like that, because she's not an actor either. She was a Victoria's Secret model. I don't know that, because I do research. Anyway. Second act, obviously, finding out Dark Side of the Moon. I don't like the fact that we found that out in the first 5 minutes of the film. and that they find out in the second act, which was a bit annoying because it would have been cool to like find out while the characters found out. Like Optimus obviously realizing, oh wait, that was the Ark, that was Sentinel. Like Sentinel, why does he look like? Why does he look like someone's granddad? He looks like my fucking level 3 media teacher. It looks like one of my media teachers. I like the twist though. The twist is one of my favourite twists in Transformers. Is that obviously Sentinel was working with the Decepticons. He made a deal thousands of years ago. Once again, fucking with history. The moon landing. They got Buzz Aldrin to appear in this film, which was really cool. My movements are really extravagant today, but Buzz Aldrin appearing in the film, really cool. They got famous guy. But imagine like this. Imagine Paramount coming to you, like you getting a call from someone from Paramount and going, "Yo, so we're making this film and we're retconning the whole events of the moon landing." And Buzz Aldrin sitting there like, "What the fuck? This is my life's work, and I have to pretend a robot is my greatest achievement when I was the second man to step on the fucking moon." Like, obviously, I don't think he cared. I haven't done my research on that. I don't think he minded. The one good thing about this film, there was one saving grace, which gives this my second favourite film in the franchise. It's the third act. The third act is amazing. Obviously, the acting's not great. The story of him trying to save Carly feels a bit like it should be him trying to save Micheal, obviously, because it was written for Micheal. But, oh my god, Optimus coming back, them doing the fake out, which obviously everyone knew was going to happen. As a kid, I thought that was the greatest thing ever, but now I watch it as an adult and an older kid. I think, that's a bit predictable. Like, obviously, they're going to come back. But Wreckers are a bit useless, pointless in this film. I don't think they should have appeared, but we move. Once again, Tyrese Gibson, hilarious. Sam Witwicky, I think he's a great lead. Terrible person, Shia LaBeouf. Don't come after me. But he's a horrible person. Anyway, we move on. I digress. I need to continue talking. Cars in these films, perfect. I forgot to say that. The cars, just, you can't go wrong with a fucking yellow and black Camaro. It's my favourite car, not because of these films, it's just a really nice car. I've got a toy Camaro there, and I've got, obviously, as you know, got a bunch of toys up here. Anyway, third act, the ending, pretty decent. But once again, they're retconning the events of the last two films of being like, yeah, no, they've actually been around for longer. They landed on the moon, and that's why we went to the moon. Like, I like them screwing with the history and like incorporating the Transformers into history, but they could have made it a bit more open. They could have been like in the first film, they could have been like, oh, we don't know if Megatron's the only Transformer to ever come to Earth, or there has been more, but we don't know who. Like, if they did that in the first film, yeah, they would have made the rest a bit more conceivable and a bit more interesting to follow along, because then you'd be like, oh, everything makes sense now. It's like, oh yeah, it's not fucking dumb, but it is very dumb. She's a dumb character. Hate her. John Turturro, haven't said anything about him yet. Oh, Sector 7 Simmons. Oh, he's the saving grace for all of these films. He is so funny. He's one of my favourite characters in this whole series just because he's hilarious. And it was weird to see him play Carmine Falcone in, I think he played Falcone in The Penguin. And I think he was in The Batman as well. But seeing him as him, obviously I've only ever known him as Seymour Simmons from Transformers, so seeing him as Carmine Falcone was a bit of a change, but he's a pretty cool actor. Like him. I need to check out more of his stuff. The characters get a bit more bland. Yeah, they've got the few main, they've got Sentinel, obviously we've got the introduction of like a full body Soundwave, we've got my favourite design of Megatron, the ruined Megatron with the truck. I love that. I love how we got the one-eyed fella. His name's gone. Put it up on screen now. His name's left my brain. I'll do a voiceover. We got with the giant worm. Amazing. They're a bit too humanoid though. Sentinel's a bit humanoid. Like, he just looks like my teacher. He looks like one of my tutors at college. The There's not really much else I have to say other than, yeah, great third act. The whole building being a pretty much practical set was awesome to watch the behind the scenes. I do really recommend it if you're interested in these films to watch behind the scenes if you haven't, because oh my god, the behind the scenes is so impressive, and it seems like at least the first three films had so much passion behind it, especially with like the practical effects. Like the rest of them just turned into CGI mess, but at least for the most part, most of this is practical, other than the Autobots and Decepticons. But anyway, we move on to the dreaded fourth film, which actually made the most money, surprisingly, even though it was definitely the worst. Let's go. Before we move on to four, sorry, I've taken the disc out for three already. I give three a 9 out of 10. Transformers, the age of consent. I mean extinction. Now this film, what can I say that hasn't been said? I've said that about all of these because these films are talked about within, especially the Transformers community. Some hold them in high regard. Some of these films were people's first introductions, like me, to the Transformers series. My first ever introduction was Transformers Prime, but this was my first like proper getting into these films. I don't hate this, but I don't love it. The other films I love, all of them I really enjoyed to watch, except 5 is one of the other ones. But we move. 4, I'm an inventor. I invent things. Yes, you're a shit inventor. You fucked up your family's life. If I was him in this situation, yeah, I know you've got to move it on with the story. But if I was this guy, why don't you just call the government and be like, yo, I found a transformer. Like, and he does not sound like he's from Texas. They're supposed to be in Texas, as you can tell by the barn and the ranch as they're in. But I just don't know what to say about this film. Like, it's just boring. Even like the final act's a bit boring. Like, yeah, the action's alright, but one thing they did so wrong is have a criminal on set. And I'm not talking about Mark Wahlberg, I'm talking about TJ Miller. No, the one thing they did really wrong is why the fuck do they just turn into blocks? This is not Minecraft. This is Transformers. They're supposed to go. They're not supposed to go. Like, it defeats the point. They're called Transformers for a reason. They transform. The whole reason why they have robot modes. They're supposed to be robots in disguise, not cars that can turn into blocks into the Transformers. Yeah, I get it. Oh, it was made by KSI, Knowledge, Strength and Integrity, the dude in the Sidemen. Yeah, I get it was made by him. No. Why? They butchered the Transformers. They butchered the characters. The fucking dude. We all know, if you know this film, you know the Romeo and Juliet law. You know that clip. I'm gonna play the clip. The Romeo and Juliet law. What the fuck? Why couldn't they just make them both 18 and he's a guy in her high school? Or why couldn't they make her 18 and him 20 and he still be not that okay with it, but it's still like not that bad? But she's 17 and he is 20. Like, why? And the oversexual. This person's supposed to be 17. They oversexualize her in this film. It's crazy. I don't know. And the whole lockdown introduction, yeah, he's pretty badass. But at the same time, like, why not just have the Autobots and the Decepticons? And why are they killing the Autobots who are clearly, very clearly, who saved fucking Chicago, are clearly on their side, clearly on the human side? Like this guy, I love Kelsey Grammer. I love him. He's great as Beast. In the worst X-Men film, he's great as Beast. But, Jesus, he's such a boring character. And it's like, oh, I lost a sister in Chicago, or I lost family in Chicago. Yeah, cool. Okay, you lost family in Chicago. Probably a lot of people did in this universe. But why are you killing the people who tried to protect your family? Why the robots that are trying to protect your family? Like, I don't understand it. It makes no sense. Yeah, I get it. In the fifth one, it makes a bit more sense why they're hunted, because of obviously the events of Age of Extinction. Oh, sorry, this film pisses me off. And the whole advertising Grimlock, Sludge. I don't know what their name is. Sludge in the UK, in America, it used to be back in the 80s cartoon. The big one used to be called Slag, which obviously in the UK does not go because that is a very rude word. But it's like they were advertised as the big main event of the film, and it's like, yeah, they're in this film. Whoa, they're in the film for 10 minutes. Like, they're in the film for 10 fucking minutes, and that's it. They're no longer in it anymore. And it's like, what? Just this film disappoints me because I thought Michael Bay was obviously done with the Transformers franchise after 3. He's even said, like, it's going to take a miracle to get me back for 4. But you know what got him back for 4? Money. And also Steven Spielberg was like, mate, we can't have anyone else. And he was just like, yeah, I want to carry on my legacy as a Transformers director, dude. This film, honestly, it's just disappointing. Like, one thing I haven't commented on in this whole time, the one only saving grace of these films, one of the only saving graces, is the voice acting for the Transformers, for the actual characters. Amazing. I like how they brought Frank Welker back to voice Galvatron. I like how, I think Leonard Nimoy voiced Sentinel Prime, which was really cool how they got Leonard Nimoy back again, because he voiced Galvatron in the original animated film. I like how Peter Cullen's in this as Optimus. I like how Hugo Weaving's really good as Megatron. I like Starscream. I like Jazz is one of my favourite Transformers in this. He's butchered. Literally, you want a piece of me? You want a piece of me? No, I want 2 in the first film. Like, you killed off my favourite character from the 80s cartoon in the first film. Like, he's in it for an hour, and he's not even got that much screen time. Anyway, we move on. What else can I say about this film that I haven't said? It's just stupid. It's just a really, really stupid film. But the action's fun. That's all I can really give it. Now, onto the rating. I'm going to give this one a 5.9 out of 10. This is one of my least favourite action films of all time. It's like, the action's still enjoyable, and I will rewatch it. Because if I do a rewatch, I'll rewatch all of them. I don't just rewatch the first one, or just pick. Oh yeah, I'll pick 3 to watch or something. No, I'll rewatch all of them all the way through. But we move on to number 5, which actually I've got a bit of a controversial opinion about that one. Now, moving on to Transformers: The Last Knight. What can I say about this one? Really, really controversial opinion. I like this film. I think this is a solid film. I think the acting's fine. I think the action's good. Obviously, it's a bit of a CGI mess towards the end, but I think throughout the film, it's pretty enjoyable. Too many side characters, that's my only problem. I like the whole Wickens thing. Once again, it rewrites the history. I didn't talk about it in 4 because I waffled for 8 minutes. But in the 4th one, they do the whole thing with the Transformium bomb exploding and killing all the dinosaurs, which I found utterly ridiculous. Like, that's not believable in this universe, and neither is the plot of this with the whole Knights of the Round Table, but I still find it interesting to be like, if I just ignore what the first few films said, like, oh yeah, they've only existed for this long, or they've only been on this earth, or this is the first appearance, that's fine. I will ignore all of them, and this is one of the ones which I've gone back to watch quite a few times in the past few years than I have with, let's say, 2 or 4, or even Bumblebee. I've seen this one more than Bumblebee, and this is obviously so much worse. But I still really enjoy this film. I think the Anthony Hopkins just plays a straight sociopath. And so does, obviously, Cogman's just funny. I find Cogman funny. I don't even know what he is, but he's just funny. Anthony Hopkins is absolutely crazy in this. But we love Anthony Hopkins. One of my favourite films, Silence of the Lambs. Great actor. And he's British, obviously. Big up the UK. I like how this is actually set in England. Like the battle at Stonehenge, which I find quite fun. Quintessa's a bit stupid. Obviously, the ending, this is one of those films that kind of set up a bigger universe. And obviously, this one bombed at the box office. This one was one of the worst performing. This is the worst performing Michael Bay film. One of the worst performing Michael Bay films. I enjoyed it enough to be like, yeah, I could go back and rewatch this again. I haven't really got much else to say about it. I like Grimlock's quite funny in this. I like how the whole Optimus evil plot I'm a bit thingy about, because he's evil for about literally a total of I think 6 minutes. He fights the Autobots for about 6 minutes and then that's it. I like how Bumblebee talks and obviously changes Optimus's mind. That's pretty interesting, but at the same time, I wish they would have spent more time with Optimus being evil. I find it so stupid. Fucking Bumblebee's voice is so stupid, and when he kills Quintessa, he says the corniest line possible, "Sting like a bee." It's terrible. They could have thought of something so much better. I don't know what else to say about this. Like, it's a fun film. It's a fine movie. I'm not a big fan of Mark Wahlberg films. Like, I've never really enjoyed all of his movies. I've watched a few that I like. I like him in Ted. Didn't mind him in the Departed. Great film. Didn't mind him in that. I didn't even mind him in Uncharted. It was a terrible film, but fun. He's just not really the type of person that I'd be like, yeah, he's definitely an inventor. Well, he does say that about 50,000 times. He doesn't strike me as the person that invents things. But I don't know. Action's fine. It was a bit samey. It gets a bit samey because this is the 5th film in the series. He's probably my favourite introduction hound. He's probably one of my favourite introductions when they introduced him in the 4th film, because he's just funny and fat, and funny and fat people go really well together. But I enjoyed it for what it was. It's a fine film. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I like it. Please don't hate me for liking this, but 7 out of 10. Bear in mind, these ratings are not on how good the actual films are. These are just pure enjoyability. I did say I would be ranking my personal opinion, Transformers worst to best. So let me get them into order and I'll show you. Okay, so they are now in order and I'm ready. There you go. So we've got Transformers 1, 3, 2, 5 and 4. Best, worst. Terrible, okay, but in fun, good, amazing. I love these films. These films are some of my favourite films of just action films. They're just my favourite action films to watch. It's obviously favourite thing from when I was a child, as you can tell, because with all the toys up here. Now, if you would like to see more videos in this kind of format and rating them towards the end, please smash like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Smash like, subscribe, and have a nice day, have a nice night. Goodbye.